All right, guys, good morning. Happy holidays to those. It's after Christmas, but those who celebrate Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever, happy holidays to all of you. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Today we've got a couple of pull-on saws. One's a Craftsman and one's a Wild Thing. Same saws, basically. This is an 1842. The other one is a 4018. A lot of you guys seen these Wild Things around. A couple things that happen with these saws. Most of the time, the fuel lines are garbage. And actually, this is what was inside the tank. And I've never seen this before. It basically, inside, I don't know if you can see it, it almost looked like a hose in a hose where the inside like delaminated. And if you look, now that there's no gas in it, it's freed itself up to form into one hose. But what happened is you could actually pull the end of the hose with the filter attached to it, and it would come out like it was attached to an inner liner. So the hose broke down over time. I've seen it a lot on the pull-ons, and they're rock hard. They use a cheaper, like an imitation tie gun or something that gets really hard with fuel. And look at the discoloration of it. I don't know what that's caused by, but you know, that was inside the tank. Anyway, what goes bad on these? The fuel lines, they go bad, they crack. Usually the fuel filters fall off. So you replace the fuel lines and the fuel filters. But one thing else you have to do too, on these carburetors, you have to really take the carburetors apart. Okay, they're Zama carburetors. Take them out, take them apart, because what happens is sawdust gets internally into the carb because the fuel filter is disconnected. It'll suck sawdust into the screen inside the filter. But here's the problem. That filter will catch most stuff, but it doesn't catch all. And what I find is I take these saws, I clean them all up, I put fuel lines in, I get them so that they're ready to go. I start it up, it'll idle, it won't take fuel, you go to throttle, it'll blah, blah, blah. I've tried every possible combination because it's dirty. So there's a little more dirt in there. And I'll be honest with you guys, on these saws, the carburetors are between $25 and $30. Don't buy the Chinese carbs. Buy the original Zama carb. It's usually $25 to $30 shipped to your house from Husky. Buy it, because I'll be honest, the Chinese carburetors, I'm about 50% lucky with them. People bring them back after a week or two and say, oh, it's not working right, or it's not starting right. Buy the OEM carburetor for these saws. They're not expensive saws, brand new. They're probably $120 to $150. This customer here, I said to him, I said roughly $30 for a carburetor, you know, $30, $40 for labor, and he's happy with that. It's a good friend of mine. I know Phil and some of the other guys on there, you know, charge a lot more. You know, my business isn't, you know, LLC or anything, so, you know, to me it's a sideline, so I charge a little less. But, you know, a friend too, you're always doing favors for friends because you never know when they'll help you out as well. So in this case, like I said, I ordered the factory carburetors. They're coming. I stocked the fuel line for these. One of them takes, like I said, this large fuel line, which I had in stock in the black material. I actually had Echo fuel line. I like Echo fuel line, even the steel fuel line. The other fuel line for the small carburetor is this really tiny stuff. There's nothing that matches it out there size for size. You have to buy the OEM. The Wild Thing uses this fuel line. It's part number 5300-69216. It's the very small OD fuel line. So if you have any of these old pull-on saws, or even Husky saws that are the smaller pull-on brand, you need this small fuel line. Don't try and make something else fit. Just buy this fuel line. It's $5, $6. It's cheap, and you get enough to do 2 or 3 saws. So again, part number 5300-69216. It's a small pull-on line for the Huskies and pull-ons. I mean, I stock a lot of line. I stock the primer bulbs, I stock fuel filters, everything, but that small line, I always buy the OEM. I mean, it's the way to go. All right, like I said, you're gonna work on this cheap stuff, and a lot of times I don't like to work on the cheap stuff, but when a friend, someone I've known for years, comes up to me and says, can you help me? I'm gonna help him. You know, he also brought another piece of equipment. And Phil was saying the other day, when do you say no? Well, look at this. You got a Ryobi weed stick, okay? Now, this thing has seen better days. The primer bulb, rock hard. I mean, you can't even push it. The fuel lines, rock hard. Now, you look at a unit like this, and you say, okay, guys, what is this unit worth? 30 bucks, 40 bucks, 50 bucks? What's it really worth? All right? Not much, okay? So what do? All right, you're gonna spend $20, $30 on a carburetor. another $5 on fuel line plus the labor, you can buy a new one. Okay, the problem is with this guy, it's one of these what they call expand it series, so he has about 4 attachments for it. He uses like a chainsaw attachment and a trimmer attachment, all kinds of stuff. So for him, it's worth it to spend $60-$75 to get it running good again. So if that's the case, I'll fix it, no big deal. But be honest with your customer, make sure they know what it's really going to cost before you even start. And that's the thing, you know, people say, oh, you know, I want a quote. Well, in some cases for the cheaper stuff, you really do want to give them a quote, because you know, they have bought it used and spent only $100 for the whole thing with all the attachments. Now they're going to spend another $100 fixing it. They may say no, but they may say yes. You know, you get 4 or 5 attachments on this thing. How much are 5 attachments worth? So make sure you quote the customer. You can always look up the numbers on the carburetor, whether it's a Zama or a Walbro or a Tillotson. You could find the OEM, but I recommend OEM. I don't recommend the Chinese. I've had a lot of bad luck with the Chinese. Use the OEM stuff. It really makes a difference. All right, guys, that's it for me for now. Oh, one more thing I'd like to mention. In my toolbox for 2-strokes, I have a 2-stroke toolbox. All right, I have what is called a JIS. I have a few of them. JIS screwdriver. Okay, if you notice the tip of a JIS, I don't know if you could zoom in on that. The tip of a JIS is a little different of an angle than a regular Phillips screwdriver. Here's all my screwdrivers for carburetors. But the tip of a JIS screwdriver, it's a little different, okay? It's a little different angle than a Phillips number 2 or a Phillips number 1. And when you see Chinese carburetors and Japanese carburetors, you look at the head of the screw on the carburetor, and the head of the screw will have a dot on it. And when it has a dot on it, it means it's a JIS, not a Phillips. These will work a lot better. They won't strip, okay? You can get them on Amazon. I forget the brand, but just look up JIS screwdrivers. You get like a 4-pack kit for about $20. And I tell you, for taking apart cube carburetors and small 2-stroke carburetors, a set of these JIS screwdrivers is a must. Look at the next time you look at a cube carburetor, look at the screw heads that look like a Phillips. If you see a dot stamped into the screw head, that's a JIS. It's not a Phillips. So it really needs the correct screwdriver or the correct tip to take it off. All right, guys, that's it for me for now. We'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks for subscribing. As always, like, subscribe, leave comments. I get back to all of you guys when I can. But thanks again, and we will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.